everyone, I'm Jerk, and this is the big show. Pardon the enthusiasm, I am just so excited to do this video. Do you think they're buying it? Okay, I'll keep going. As a way to compensate for the laissez-faire attitude in the last video, I'm going to make up for it by being overly excited. And you'll just have to imagine this whole video I am making an expression worth of a clickbait thumbnail. Worth? Worthy of? Who wrote this? No cheese. Moving on. Let's go ahead and get today's guest out here. It's been about 4 months since we've seen them. And oh God, how do I look? Good? Good. They just always get to me when I see them. Stop gushing. Ladies and gentlemen, our longtime friend and Tier 7 French heavy cruiser, give it up for Martel. Before we get too far into this match, I want to set up what we're about to see. It is a long match that comes down to literally the last second. So get a beverage or go to the restroom. That is, if you're not watching this on the toilet already, and let's be real, most of you are. Next, I'm going to have 3 big mistakes in this game that I will try to point out, and you can let me know if you agree. And lastly, this is a challenge game. Last week, or whenever it was that I did the patch notes video, I was discussing about how I think some of the heels and rudders should be tuned down in the Tier 7 cruisers to be able to make room for the legendary tier cruisers to not be insanely powerful. And as such, I received a comment asking me to take out the Martel without a heel to see if it's still viable without one. And I will present you the video. And you can tell me if a heel would have changed anything that we witness. So in trying this out, I messed around with some modules and commanders, and ultimately I pretty much went back to what I already had. So let's get the commander and modules up on the big screen. We are making lemonade with Betty Davis-eyed Norman Scott, and who the hell is that? Oh, it's Soundwave, who despite me saying I wasn't going to rank up, I ended up ranking up to 15 Legendary 1 for some extra rudder shift and some of that other stuff. If you're new to these parts, then you probably have no idea that this is one of my favorite cruisers, but I have been taking a break from my favorites for a while to bring you all new ships to interview. And while it did take me a couple games before this to get comfortable, after just a couple rounds I was feeling warm and toasty like a croque monsieur, and I was ready to clog some red team arteries with some insane HE and remind them all of the breakout hit single of the spring, Chuck's AP ain't nothing to futz with. So this is how I prefer to chuck a red team up. I want to keep their battleships within my detectability range and either scare them off or burn them to the ground, dropping spot when I need to turn around and then immediately re-engaging. I have tried a full agility build with this ship, and I just never have felt that I was capable of punishing the red team with enough damage. So while that build may work for some, I prefer a DPM focused build shoving glasses of absinthe down the red team's throat until they break. And that's pretty much what we're going to see in this game. Myself and the 2 ships who spawned with me just keep hounding this red team as they continue to file over here. You know, sometimes you think that someone across the dance floor is checking you out. And sometimes they are, but sometimes they're checking out that person behind you. This is why I always look around to see if there's anyone they could possibly be looking at other than myself before pointing at myself questioningly. And I've got to say, I probably should have been doing that in this game because looks can be deceiving as we pick up our first ship sunk. If we turn our attention to the minimap, it would appear that we have things well in hand, but we don't. We need our destroyer to cap B, and they will eventually, but not capping it right now is going to prove to be problematic later. So is this mistake number 1 by not pinging to cap it incessantly right now? Maybe. Oh, hold on. Chuck's AP. What do we have to say about that? Chuck's AP ain't nothing to futz with. Anyway, I'm not going to count this as a mistake yet, as the fact is there isn't immediate cause for concern just yet, but it's starting to unfold. We had a King George who spawned center who has now come over to this side to say, I'm helping you. Even though I'd say we clearly have this flank under control. And over on C is the Red Destroyer who ends up having a very good game. But we still have a York in our center spawn, so I'm not concerned yet as we continue to chuck this red team up. Speaking of, we're going to chuck up this Otago right now. Switch over to AP and remind them of the breakout single of spring that Chuck's AP ain't nothing to futz with. We're going to bust their engine on this one if I remember correctly. Yep. And we're going to end up sinking this Otago for our third ship sunk. And if we do a quick analysis of the minimap now, we can see the problem that is beginning to unfold. Our center spawn and what is left of our eastern flank is headed this way. Now, this may be mistake number one. I see what's happening here. And maybe I should have headed back to A right now. But I wasn't certain that this destroyer on the red team realized what was up until they start to cap C. But in the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and go after this Helena. And I don't know if you guys have noticed, I haven't been touched once since, what was that? I think it was the Otago hit me with one shell at the very beginning. So regardless of not having a heal right now, there would be nothing to heal even if I had it possible. So insofar, I have not been missing that heal. And you can see I'm still doing plenty of damage. We're almost at 4 times my HP right now. And we are actually going to get quite a bit more. I'm going to keep focusing down this Helena. I see a lot of Helenas right there. I don't know if you guys know, but there is a base XP challenge in the Helena over at wowsbuilds.com right now, so you can earn yourself a free premium ship. Check it out if you haven't yet. And as this Helena runs, come on. We got to get this last one. Oh my god, how is it still alive? One more salvo, and that's going to take out the Helena, and we're going to have our 4 ships sunk right now. And so we can see the Red Destroyer is capping C, and so this is where I would say is my first mistake. I should be heading back to A right now. I should be heading to move them off at the pass because I realize what's happening, and I've said on numerous occasions that you cannot rely upon the rest of your team to see what's happening. If you see what's happening, you need to take care of it yourself. So, definitely a mistake on my part right now. Meanwhile, our ZF6 is going to try and torp that Georgia coming around here. I don't know if that was the play. I mean, it is helpful to remove them, but I just don't know if it was necessary. And because that's going to cost us our ZF6, and this is when things are now spiraling out of control. I see it. I definitely see it now. My hope is to get rid of this Georgia, and then try and get rid of this Bismarck, and then get back towards A or B, because there is no doubt that their destroyer is going to be heading in here. But we can also see that the rest of my team has now made it over to where I have been attempting to deal with the red team the entire time. Anyway, we're going to get the, Kraken 296 in the Charles Martel against that Georgia right now. But we're going to have to keep going because we can't rely upon our teammates. So, let's focus down this Bismarck as fast as we can. I'm onto the HE, and once again, we will see how fast the Chuck can deal with these battleships. And I'm trying to turn myself back a little bit towards A right now, or at least get away from the rest of my team, because this, as I mentioned, is going to be problematic real soon. I've got one fire right there. I think I'm going to get another one right here, and then sooner than later, I think I get one more fire on the end of the Bismarck. And we can see their red destroyer is now capping our A cap. We do have a point lead, and I was really hoping that our teammates would not go and chase this Bismarck down. That's why I'm still focusing on it, because if there's nobody out there, maybe they'll turn back in. And there's that last fire that I need, but they're out of my range right now, so I am turning back towards A. And this will lead us to mistake number dos. Even with a speed boost, I can't make it back to A in time to catch the destroyer there. So I should be angling myself to push into B and once again try to head that destroyer off at the pass. So rather than take a left here at Albuquerque and go around the outside of this island to the left of me, I should probably just push in immediately. We do see the cap get flipped there. There is no doubt this destroyer is going to try and cap this one here. But look at this. See, this is the mistake right here. I should have kept going forward. Instead, I took a left to go around this island. Now, the reason I did that is because I was hoping to get an angle on their York, the last remaining red York. And I do get an angle on them here. And I'm actually going to sink them as well. They're going to pop up right here. And we will do an exchange, and I could still save myself. I could still save this game right here. I could take a hard right. But instead, I turn to port. And the reason I do so is because I don't know. This York kind of surprises me a little bit because they're shooting AP, and most of the time, you know, most players just spam HE, and I realize I say spam HE as I spam HE, but speaking of HE, look at how many fires I'm going to light on this York, and I drop those torps in there. I do pick up a Confederate right now. So could I have hit reverse and headed in that way? Probably not, but I've already committed to this point. I do have our friendly York coming in here, and I expect that they have sonar, and this is where I'm going to get into my third mistake, expecting things. You know, I don't like to talk poorly on my teammates because, you know, everybody can play at any tier. There are good players in every tier, and there are not so good players in every tier, and everybody makes mistakes. But we just see our York get torped there, even though we knew there was a destroyer. Now, I do accept the blame for this because, once again, I recognized that the destroyer was going to be there. I should have angled in there. My thinking was that if I come up here to the north and our York pushes in through the south, well, then we've got the destroyer trapped. They won't be able to get away. I did not once think, oh, well, the destroyer will just torp our York, and we will end up letting this destroyer slip out. So obviously the points are accruing too fast now. The only thing I can do is try to sink this destroyer to save the win. I have a fairly decent idea that they are directly in front of me, and had I saved my sonar, I don't know. I mean, it's not like even taking a torpedo right now is going to sink me, because I have barely been touched. But had I had the sonar, maybe I would have seen the torpedoes a little bit sooner and been able to know exactly where the destroyer was. But as it is, the time is ticking down. Here come the torpedoes. Okay, we know the destroyer is most likely heading out to the left. So we'll dodge that one, and as soon as we can, put our plane up. And I wish I could see the AA firing. I don't know why these planes can't detect destroyers better, but whatever. Their destroyer is going to pop up. Time's ticking down. One shot. Look at how much damage we do. Just about 1,000. They must be under 100 hit points. We blind fire, but no joy, and I lose us the game. So let's see the scoreboard. 2,115 XP in a loss for what could have been a very good game, but instead a very GG to the red ZF6. Look at all the scores. We absolutely should have won if we had managed the caps better. Let's sigh. And that's going to wrap it up for this one. If you think I should put Kong on the Cleveland and see what happens, give this video a like. If you think it's finally time to break out the Japanese destroyers, hit dislike. Questions, comments, F's in chat, leave them down below. And for your chance to win the ability to see another video, click subscribe. Thanks for watching, folks. I will get back out there for another one soon, and we will talk then.